Welcome to Let's Talk Healthy Living. Today, we're chatting with Andrew Beattie, the founder of eScooters Ottawa. I've been seeing a lot of eScooters around town, and I'm curious to learning more about them. So let's go chat with Andrew. There he is. Welcome, Andrew. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, can we begin? Let's begin by telling the viewers a little about yourself. And what is eScooters Ottawa as well?
Okay, well, let me start with who I am. My name is Andrew Beattie, and I am the founder of eScooter Ottawa. And eScooter Ottawa is a community-based organization that we've come together, to build together, to advocate for the safe and proper use of e-scooters within the city as part of our active transportation mix.
And I see that you've got an amazing e-scooter here. How long have you had yours?
Well, this one here is only just less than 2 months old, actually. This is my second e-scooter. So I purchased this one when I was looking at as my actual go-to commute scooter now. I bought an earlier one through Facebook Marketplace just to try it out to see if it was going to be my thing. It is. So this is my second one and I'm very happy with it.
So how long have you been riding an e-scooter?
I picked it up just before my surgery in February. So I had a hip replacement surgery in February, and I needed something to be able to move around. I bought an e-scooter off Facebook Marketplace, and so since then.
So tell us about the benefits of e-scooters, because most people usually think that e-scooters, people are just standing there. They're not really exercising. But from what I'm seeing, you're using your core, you have to have a good balance. What are some of the benefits of an e-scooter?
You're absolutely right. So there's definitely core strength involved and balance involved, but then you add in things like concentration that's required when you're doing this. And then you're outside. You're enjoying the beautiful outdoors. So there are multiple benefits to this. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that you're going to get the same as you're going to go for a run or cycling in the acoustic style, but you will get a good. It is a form of exercise. Put it that way. I think it's more important to look at it as it's a form of. It forms a part of Ottawa's active transportation network or active transportation mix. And it's becoming much more commonplace, so we're seeing so many more of them.
And how much does it cost to get something like that? And what does one look for when purchasing an e-scooter?
There's a number of things to look for. This is still a bit of the Wild West when we're coming to e-scooters. These are fairly new in North America. I mean, the rideshare programs are what actually got me involved into it. So we've seen them all downtown. There's 2 companies in Ottawa finishing up our 5th year of a 5-year pilot program. Bird and Neuron, I think, are the 2 companies that rideshare. That's how I got started, really. Mm-hmm. A few years ago during COVID, I rented one of these things and said, hey, this is kind of fun. So I actually have like an acronym for e-scooters, and I like people to remember. It's called SAFE.
SAFE.
Okay. And the SAFE stands for sustainable, accessible, fun, and economic. But to answer your question specifically, let me get back to that. Things to look for. What I looked for is I wanted to have something that could give me a commute from where I live, down by the airport in Hunt Club, to downtown when I have to go to the office. So I needed something with a battery power that was long enough and sustainable so I wouldn't get range anxiety that everybody's hearing with electric vehicles now. So this actually has that for me. The other thing I wanted to do was actually look for some safety features, very similar to a motorcycle or a car. I wanted to make sure it was visible. So this one in particular, I have indicators on either side on the front. Mm-hmm. Because your hands are so close together, it's hard. You can't do it like a bike can, where you raise your right turn, left turn, stop. Because if you take your hand off, you lose balance really quickly. So the indicators work very much like a car. I also have the ability to, when I push on the brake, my brake lights go on. Okay, so people behind me can see what's happening.
Okay.
So these are some of the features that I have. And then, of course, riding at night, I can actually, if I turn this on, it'll actually get really bright in a second. This front light is now lit up. And this at night is extremely bright.
Oh, it looks bright, even during the day.
Yeah, not all brands have these kind of safety features. So these are some of the things that I look for specifically when I was buying an e-scooter. But they're absolutely wonderful. It actually has become my primary transportation mode. So going back to some of the research around this thing, we'll talk about sustainability. So I was reading something about car travel, and 80% of car trips that people take in Canada are within 10 kilometers. Well, I can tell you, in the month of July alone, I used this vehicle for 36 trips, which would have been 36 more car trips that are off the road. So that into itself makes me feel good on the sustainability side. But yes, for commuting, as I ride 15 kilometers to go to the office, it literally is faster than going in traffic. It's 30 minutes door to door.
Right.
I can't drive from the airport to downtown by the National Gallery in 30 minutes, park my car and get into the office faster.
And you're also telling me about the cost savings of this as well.
Well, that's one facet of the economics in SAFE. Yes, there's an actual direct economic cost. For me alone, just for the month of parking for downtown, for going to the office, gas savings, I saved $336 last month alone.
Incredible.
In the month of July.
That's incredible.
When I figured out how much all the kilometers that I put on this vehicle versus what I would have put on my car, and that's not including insurance costs or anything else. There's other economic benefits though to this. I told you about all these trips that I've been using and not using my car. I'm probably using it a little bit more frequently than my car because I'm going to go visit more businesses in my neighborhood, a little further afield, right? So I'm spreading out my money a little bit further afield. So like the bakery that's 2.5 kilometers down the way gets money from me now. Whereas in the past, I wouldn't have gotten in the car to go there. I wouldn't have made a special trip. So we're helping smaller businesses in the neighborhood and the community as well.
About how fast can one of these things go?
So the top speed on this one is about 40 kilometers an hour.
Right.
Which is fairly fast.
It's fast.
I don't typically ride it at 40 kilometers. I average about 30 kilometers an hour, which is the same as what a road bike would do, a bicycle would do. The rules in Ottawa are very clear, though. They say that people are not supposed to be riding e-scooters more than 20 kilometers an hour.
Oh.
But that, to be fair, I think that's one of the things that I'd like to see advocated and changed, because bicycles are traveling faster than 20 kilometers an hour.
Okay.
So we should be going at the same speed as bicycles. If nothing else, we're just going to get in the way and get tripped over by them. But there is a rule. The rules are very clear in the city of Ottawa on how you can use them, where you can use them, and at what speeds and what age and everything else.
Oh, even the age.
It's like I said, it's a bit of the Wild West out there. Each municipality sets out their own rules. The province has turned it over to the municipalities to make the decisions. But in Ottawa, you have to be 16 years or older to ride an e-scooter. And if you're under 18, you must wear a helmet.
Okay.
Over 18, it's like a bicycle. It's optional. It's up to you. Common sense would dictate that you should wear one.
But one of the things that I see with these e-scooters, they're going pretty fast.
Yes.
So what are the key etiquette of e-scooters? Because sometimes I'm kind of having to jump out of the way, right? They're riding on the sidewalks.
Well, okay, let's stop it right there.
Weaving through
The key
traffic.
element, they should not be on the sidewalks. You know, we're parked right here on a sidewalk, but they're not to be ridden on sidewalks. But then again, nor are bicycles supposed to be ridden on sidewalks. I find it hard to chastise a family of 4 with young children or anybody on an e-scooter who is on a sidewalk, because we just do not have the active transportation network infrastructure in this city. People call them bike lanes. I call them an active transportation lanes, because they're not just for bikes. They're for e-scooters, they're for mobility scooters, they're for skateboards, anything other than walking, right? And if we had the infrastructure in place, then everybody would be using these active transportation. Now we're here in Westboro, and they actually have great lanes right here that are designed specifically for active transportation. But unfortunately, there's just not enough of them here in Ottawa yet.
So what I also see is there's a lot of competition now with the bikes and the e-scooters. So how can we address some of that?
Well, I think it's like anything else. So there's competition on the with cars on the road too. So you just have to have sort of, know the rules of the road. On eScooterottawa.ca, I've actually put a list. There's some training videos there that, courtesy of the 2 rideshare programs, that are asynchronous courses that you can go and take and learn the proper rules of the road for operating in Ottawa on how to ride an e-scooter and the laws that go by it. But common sense. You don't pass people on the right-hand side. You pass them on the left. You give them lots of notification that you're coming. And I think because they are still novel, pedestrians are just going to become more and more accustomed to seeing them. I can only imagine it's akin to when, cars were first introduced on roads, at the turn of the century, the last century, and people were like, oh my gosh, what's that thing coming down? Like, oh, how do I do? In time, as more and more people use them, it'll just become more and more accustomed to working with them.
Yeah, completely. And does it have a bell on it?
It does.
Oh, it does. That's very, okay, that
does.
could be immensely useful.
So I use that. My personal rule of thumb is about 10 meters in behind somebody. I start ringing the bell twice to let them know that I'm coming by, and I'll be passing them on the left-hand side.
Okay, that's good to
Now,
know.
I slow down tremendously. That's
Right.
that's something I do. But it's much easier for me to do that. I can slow down as I'm approaching them, ring the bell twice, pass them on the left, and then speed up once I'm past them.
So I'm looking at here, this looks quite sophisticated, because in looking at some of these e-scooters, I thought, there's not much to them, but in looking at your screen, this looks rather sophisticated.
Yeah, so this brand is actually a Canadian brand called Apollo. They're designed in Montreal. They're manufactured overseas, but they're designed in Montreal. And one of the few truly North American brands that exist today. So talk about some of the design features. On the display here, it tells me the speed that I'm going, the battery power that I have remaining in it. But it's also done, the LED display is bright enough that even on a bright sunny day, it uses the same technology that lights use, traffic lights use, so that I can see it at night. So it's as opposed to seeing or I can see it during the day in bright sunshine. But there's a whole bunch of other neat features. I mean, this is they test their strength of the frame itself and they guarantee it for 10,000 kilometers. There's a whole bunch of technical innovations into this scooter that really that helped influence my decision. The cost to get one of these can be as low as a few $100s. So just think about it in new terms. Many people can't afford a car. The price of gas has gone up. Insurance is a big. The cost of vehicles have gone up. This, combined with a good public transportation system, makes for an ideal mode of transportation. That means you can get people who could not get from one end of town to the other to get to a place of employment.
Exactly, because when you were mentioning, what you do is you ride it to the train station, you fold it up. Once you get to your stop, you unfold it, and you're off to work.
Exactly. So in inclement weather, I use this through the winter months. So it literally folds up, and I can bring it on the train, and then get off, and then ride it down to the office. OC Transport in Ottawa really welcomes these. And on another resource area, I have links on the website to how to bring them on to the trains and what buses you can bring them on and how you can bring them. But because they fold so small, you just pick it up and easy to carry on.
But you're also saying that you can actually use them during the winter months as well.
Sure.
But I'm looking at the tires, and you can put studs on them.
I could change the tires out and put thicker
Studded
tires.
tires.
Yeah. Now, I mean, anything on two wheels in the wintertime is probably it's a little more dangerous. Cold weather riding, whether it's a scooter, bicycle, a motorcycle, you have to be conscious of the fact that you've only got two wheels, and it's much more dangerous. Okay, so you just have to be aware of that. Black ice, you can slide out from underneath you. There's a whole bunch of perils to it, but it's still a beautiful time. If the roads are clear, and they often are, it's still beautiful to be able to get outside, bundle up, and go for a ride.
Yes, because I do see, we did an interview with someone up with in regards to fat biking.
Oh yeah.
And that's what they were saying as well. A lot of people are using these kind of things during the winter months.
Year round.
With the right equipment. In terms of having a lock, how safe is that to leave your e-scooter outside? Or do you fold it up and bring it with you in the office?
Well, I mean, it depends. In some offices I can bring it in. The one I currently work in doesn't allow for that. Because as I said, there's a bit of the Wild West in terms of standards. This one is built to the highest standards. In other words, the IP standards on this battery means that it's not going to blow up,
Yes.
But these are lithium batteries,
yes,
and lithium batteries. There's still a fear and a sense of concern that there could be an accident that happens. So very often they won't actually allow you to bring them into the office. In that case, I lock it up outside and put it on the bike lock.
We kind of talked about the price.
So this one, it's not the least expensive and it's not the most expensive, but it's pretty much mid-range.
Right.
And yeah, so it's affordable for a lot of people. But again, you can buy. There's a used market for these as well, and they're popular in pockets throughout the world. You know, and I do think there is credit to be given to these rideshare programs that have introduced so many people to the benefits of e-scooters. When you're considering a commuting vehicle, if you have to dress up to any amount, if you're cycling into work, you come in a little sweaty, you're a little disheveled, you put in a lot of effort, right? I literally just park it and walk right into the office, and I feel just as fresh.
That's true, because I do see people in their suits and everything, maybe with a backpack, with their suits and everything on these e-scooters. There's another e-scooter.
And there's another e-scooter going by right there. What we have to do is just improve our city's infrastructure, our active transportation, because every time somebody's on one of these, they're not in a car.
Yes, exactly.
And that's one less car that's on the road. That's going to save on our infrastructure costs in the long term, because there's not much wear and tear on the roads. So there's the benefits just continue to go on. The economic benefits continue to pour on and on.
And I completely agree, but at the same time, people need to understand what are the safety precautions that come with that, right? Like, you need to put your helmet on, because I do see some people, they're zooming down, they're weaving through traffic. So people need to be aware of those things as well.
One of the safety precautions that I always adhere to, whether it's on this or on my motorcycle or in a car, is just ride like you're invisible. Pretend like no one can see you. And if you think no one can see you, then you better be extra cautious about how you're proceeding all the time.
What advice would you give to our viewers here?
I would say get out and give it a try. The best way to give it a try is go use one of the ride-sharing programs downtown. You know, rent one for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, get accustomed to it, see if you can start seeing yourself using this vehicle, this transportation mode, and start thinking about ways that you could use it for yourself. I am sure you're going to get hooked.
And keep in mind that it is a vehicle.
It's just like a bicycle. Mm-hmm. It has to be treated the same way as you would a bicycle, by either an e-bike or the analog type.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, thank you, Andrew. Thanks for taking the time to come and talk to us.
No, it's my pleasure.
Thank you all.
Thanks for having me.
Let's take time for living. Let's take time